Happy 2019 and more coming up on today's episode of the latest in tech news. Hey Gadgeteer, you're listening to the latest episode of the world's only 3-in-1 daily show on everything tech, gadgets, and gaming news heard in over 46 countries. I'm your host, Taylor Merrick, here to fill you in on all the latest news and more, so let's get started. But before we do, you're probably like, what the heck happened? It went away for a while. Yeah, let's just say I needed to take a serious break, serious step back, serious refocus, and figure out what the heck I was doing. And so now, here's what I do know for now. This is what I'm gonna be planning on for 2019. Going forward here, I got a lot of things in the works. I'm doing a show, I got a gaming channel, and community that I'm forming up again, and then this, the Tech News Gadget, latest in tech news show. So here's the deal. I'm gonna be making 5 shows a week, Monday to Friday, and those will be released as a YouTube video. Now, if you don't have time to watch the YouTube video of this, it'll be made available as a podcast to listen at your listening pleasure over at latestintechnews.com. You can go there and you can subscribe. Apple, Android, take your pick. We don't throw down here. You can watch however you want. We also share a couple exclusive stories on Facebook and Instagram, so make sure that you're following profiles there as well. But for the rest of it, for the rest of the recap, here is where you're going to be. So yeah, it's goodness. Okay, so this is something I'm gonna have to kind of keep track on and make sure that I do, because it's part of my goals for 2019. If you didn't know already, happy 2019. You know, we skipped over a whole year here. It's not 2018 anymore, it's 2019, one of those odd years, I know. But with that said, comes new realm possibilities, new fun on the horizon, and a new test. Now, why was I live streaming on Mixer? Well, there was a test that I wanted to do there. The test went out well, but not as well as I'd hoped. And for me, I've kind of figured out through this test more of how I want a live show to go, but I can't necessarily devote the time and effort and energy into doing that to the best of my ability, because it's going to suffer. And I know you guys enjoy watching the live show, and I do hope at some point in the near future to be able to bring it back. But in the meantime, I'll tell you what I am good at. I'm good at making videos, and I am pretty good at making a podcast. Matter of fact, I was mentioned in a podcasting book almost a decade ago. So yeah, I kind of know what I'm talking about when it comes to a podcast and having a lot of fun there. I know a lot of fun individuals who are also in the podcasting space, and I know a lot about podcasting and have a lot of fun there. It makes it really easy to do. And one thing I did find out with the podcasting thing is that recording this as a live show and then ripping the audio out means a lot less editing work for me. Plus, I've matured over the years, I guess, when it comes to podcasting, because I've kind of figured out here's what you do, here's what you don't do. Don't say a lot, which I probably am. So oh well. Don't judge me, okay? I'm working on it and trying to work on my speaker profile and trying to be funny and everything. And it's hard, okay? So enough screwing around. You're like, oh my gosh, he's serious. Now he's actually laughing. Is he okay? Yes, I'm okay. This is usually what I do. I rant and rave for a while, and I run off on a rabbit trail for a while. But then I come back, and we cover the news for today. So, the stupid site that I have, I'm changing the format around a little bit, guys. So, for those of you who've been tuning into the podcast and live show for a while, do appreciate it a lot. But we probably won't be doing a live show for a while, at least. I'll be focusing more of my live show energies on my gaming community. Yeah, I'm bringing back the Conspirators gaming community, the Minecraft channel that started it all. Planning on bringing that back, bringing it to Mixer. Gonna throw down, gonna have some fun. So, anyways, I'm already getting off on another rabbit trail. So I'm changing the format up a bit. Still need to work on the intro thing again for, oh goodness, fun stuff here. So a whole lot of fun. If at any time you guys want to interact with us in a live show, or interact with us, or leave a comment or share your thoughts, feel free to do so. social media profiles are the best way to do it if you want to get in immediate contact with us. Otherwise, we have a forum set up over at technewsgadget.net. You can go ahead and jump in there and post your thoughts on this episode or any other episode or any other news you happen to find, or share news of your own. That's what the forums are there for, so kind of encouraging you to start the community, or you can just hang out and chat with us on social media. That'll be perfectly fine. So, I've said enough. I've gone far enough over. Goodness. Okay, so let's head on over to the tech news of the year. Oh man, that's one video I forgot to post about. Okay, I'll probably have to talk about it tomorrow. It may or may not have been covered, but it's something that when I watched it, I got excited about. It took me back to my Minecraft days. And that's all that I'm going to tell you guys. I'm going to tell you about it more tomorrow. So, let's head on over to the tech news of today, and let's see what we got firing up over here, shall we? So, first up on docket today for tech news, we have the PlayStation 5 and Xbox 2 must be backward compatible, and with the new Xbox and PlayStation consoles on the horizon, backward compatibility with older games seems not just a hope, but a must-have feature. See, this is something that not only Microsoft, but Sony's been talking about, saying we need these backwards compatible games. Now, obviously, there's only so far that you can go with this before it starts getting stupid, and then you're like, well, why do I want to support games that are like 20 years old? They don't even work. They're so blocky and unrealistic. Like, the shooting mechanism doesn't even work right. So, with that being said, in earlier console generations, this backward compatibility was common, but by the time Sony released the PlayStation 4, there was simply no built-in support for PlayStation 3 games, and Xbox One didn't have backward compatibility at launch either. So it kind of remains to be seen. Some are arguing, saying that they don't need to be able to run older games, since probably be upgrading to new games to play that anyway. But then other people say, well, what if I want to play the old games, because old games are good? I don't know. Would you weigh in on this topic? Do you feel like consoles should have backward game compatibility? I don't know. It's kind of a toss-up right now. I'm kind of like, well, okay, if it's a new game, it's running a new system, well, duh, we'll get the new one. And if you want to play the old game, play the old system. So maybe they should be selling the old system then, not the new system, and making it backwards compatible. I don't know. It's this whole big hullabaloo. But apparently, a Hellpoint developer, Marc-Andre Jutras, who's a veteran of AAA studios Activision and Ubisoft, said in an interview with Gaming Bolt that he believes the next generation of consoles will have an even smoother approach to backward compatibility. Unlike the current system in which Microsoft makes older Xbox games available in batches once they have been tweaked to work on the Xbox One, Jutras believes that both the next-gen PlayStation and Xbox consoles will have full backward compatibility built in at launch. So, remains to be seen. The PlayStation 5 is expected to be officially announced sometime in 2019 with a 2020 release date, while the Xbox 2, currently developing under the project name Xbox Scarlet, is also expected to arrive in 2020. While the PlayStation 4 had a competitive edge when the 8th generation consoles first launched, the Xbox brand has enjoyed a resurgence thanks to Microsoft's dedication to much demanded features like crossplay. But with Sony, remains to be seen, although granted, they just had a really good year in 2018 with a couple exclusive games, so remains to be seen what exactly will be going on in 2019 and 2020. Also happening in the world of tech today, well, hijackers are hijacking Twitter accounts again using a simple text messaging trick that apparently Twitter had thought they fixed, but didn't. Or did they? Well, let's see. Security researchers have discovered a new way to hijack a Twitter user stream, and they've done it using a seemingly old-school method. They did it by sending an SMS message. A team from Insignia Security managed to post tweets with permission from the account holders, of course, without having to directly access users' accounts. It was done without logging in and without having to intercept a two-factor authentication code. The trick doesn't work against every Twitter account. Only certain SMS-enabled accounts are vulnerable, and it's not yet known exactly how many users may be impacted. To inject a tweet, here's what they did. They first had to track down the phone numbers that were linked to the Twitter accounts. Because of numerous data leaks and hacks, that information is much easier to come by than you think. In this world of trying to be secure and privacy and all of that stuff, I don't know. They're really dropping the ball when it comes to keeping user information safe. One would think, oh, if a company makes a service for free to the general public, maybe we should really crack down and make sure our security is up to par first. And by up to par, I mean like way far and above. Like you don't even have to worry about a hack or a data breach or anything because you have it locked down. Anyways, rant over. So once they found that phone number, the next step was to borrow a trick from spam callers and swatters. Researchers entered the phone number into a spoofing tool, which makes calls and texts appear like they're coming from a specified phone number when they're really not. Insignia experts gave Gizmodo a demonstration of the attack and reportedly work against multiple Twitter accounts. According to Gizmodo, that technically shouldn't have been possible. Twitter issued a statement last week declaring it had resolved a bug that allowed certain accounts with the connected UK phone number to be targeted by SMS spoofing, adding that account security protocols are functioning as expected. Well, remains to be seen if it's still to be expected. Thanks a lot, Forbes, for reporting on this article. Oh, gosh. And make sure you guys subscribe to the podcast if you want to stay tuned on what in the world's going on in the tech world. Subscribe button is somewhere right on the or latestinTechNews.com, somewhere on there. Now, for those of you worried about AI taking over the world, this article will make you one step worrieder that this might actually happen because, well, this clever AI hid data from its creators to cheat at its appointed task. See, even computers can be lazy sometimes. So depending on how paranoid you are, this research from Stanford and Google will be either terrifying or fascinating. A machine learning agent intended to transform aerial images into street maps and back was found to be cheating by hiding information it would need later in a nearly imperceptible high-frequency signal. Clever girl. The occurrence reveals a problem with computers that has existed since they were invented. They do exactly what you tell them to do, and they try to find a lazy way to do it. The intention of the research was, as you might guess, to accelerate and improve the process of turning satellite imagery into Google's famously accurate maps. To that end, the team was working with what's called a cycleGAN, which is a neural network that's learning to transform images of type X and Y into one another as efficiently yet accurately as possible through a great deal of experimentation. In some early tests, the agent was doing well, suspiciously well. What tipped the team off was that when the agent reconstructed aerial photographs from street maps, there were a lot of details that didn't seem to be on the ladder at all. For instance, skylights on a roof that were eliminated in the process of creating the street map would magically reappear when they asked the agent to do the reverse process. And we actually got photos to go along with this, so if you're listening to the podcast, be sure to hop on over to YouTube, youtube.com/TechNewsGadget to watch the video that goes along with this. On the left here, we see the original photo, the aerial photograph. In the center, we see the generated map that came out of it and see the aerial reconstruction of it. Note the presence of dots on both aerial maps not represented on the street map. So you gotta kind of have to zoom in a little bit and see it. But yeah, although it's very difficult to peer into the inner workings of a neural network's processes, the team could easily audit the data it was generating. And with a little experimentation, they indeed found that the AI had indeed pulled a fast one. The intention was for the agent to be able to interpret the features of either type of map and match them to the correct features of the other. It's really simple matching, easy game. Apparently this AI thought, I'm not doing no Sesame Street garbage. I'm smarter than this. Forget you guys. And it just kind of like made a half attempt at the work, and there you go. But let's see. But what the agent was actually being graded on, among other things, was how close an aerial map was to the original and the clarity of the street map. So it didn't learn how to make one from the other, it learned how to subtly encode the features of one into the noise patterns of the other. The details of the area map are secretly written into the actual visual data on the street map, thousands of tiny changes in color that the human eye wouldn't notice, but that the computer can easily detect. So, I guess, well, we'll just have to do all this work and see that I got more photos. I got the source map here, I got the crafted map, they have the difference between the two, and then the reconstruction. Yeah, AI thought they could pull a fast one, so let's just hope they don't take over the world too fast, because I think they kind of have some learning to do, don't you think? Alright, time for more Google news. Did you know that this Google Assistant can do 9 things? You might not even know about it. While Apple has Siri and Amazon has Alexa, there's a third big player in the voice assistant game, Google's very own voice-activated effort, Google Assistant. Now, in case you haven't seen the ads going around on TV or the internet with the Home Alone kid popping up back in the home and talking, it's essentially an ad for Google, Google Assistant? Yeah. Well, here you go. So here's a list of things that you can do with Google Assistant, courtesy of techradar.com. By the way, links to all the show notes covered today will be over at the show notes for this episode of the latest in tech news, which I believe is 73. So technewsgadget.net/73. Or if you're listening to this on your podcast player, it's right there in the show notes. All you gotta do is scroll up. Boing. There you go. You can open an article. So first up, you can find your way home and check for traffic updates. Drawing on a sheer breadth of information at Google search engine fingertips, it's safe to say Google Assistant has a lot of potential uses, including the ability to find the best route to a certain location. Just say, "Get me home," and it will draw information from Google Maps to show you or tell you the best route based on your current location. Another thing you can do is make a shopping list with your voice. Now, that was something that was shown off in the ad, the Home Alone kid, Macaulay Culkin, a much older version of himself, of Kevin McAllister. Speaking of which, he legally changed his middle name. No, not to Kevin McAllister. It's actually Macaulay Culkin. He added his name to his middle name, so it's first name, last name. It's confusing. Anyways, some tidbit of news that you didn't want to know about, but now you know. Thanks. You're welcome. You can make a shopping list with your voice. You can also listen to the latest news headlines. All you have to do is say, "Play the news," and Assistant will start reading out stories from your preferred news sources, which I believe you can probably change at any time based on the settings and how adept you are at figuring out Google Assistant. I don't have any Google Assistant myself, so I don't know what to do, but I'm sure with a little tweaking you can figure out what to do there. Also, you can control your smart home. So depending on if you have Philips Hue light bulbs, Honeywell thermostats, and plenty of other gadgets that are all interconnected together, well, you can open Google Assistant, press the menu icon in the upper right of the screen, select settings. From there you can add any compatible smart devices that are currently active in your home. And you can have it do myriad of things. Set the heat. You can have it turn on lights, turn off lights. You can also have it convert money, measurements, and more. So whether you're looking to check how many dollars you can get to the pound or wondering how many inches there are in a kilometer, you can rely on your voice activated servant to do the math for you. So we're kind of dumbing down society. I understand, but why would you want to know all of this stuff when you could just have technology remember it for you and they remember it accurately? Google Assistant can perform almost any conversion calculation, and it will read out the answer. The same goes for translations. If you're wondering what the word for hello is in Swedish, you just have to say, "What's the Swedish word for hello?" and the assistant will respond with the correct answer. You can also have it screen your phone calls. If you happen to own, if this is specific, if you own a Pixel 3 or Pixel 3 XL, the voice-activated service includes a feature that will answer certain calls on your behalf, and I believe I covered this in an earlier episode of latest in tech news, but yeah, you have a screen call for you, and you can decide whether you want to pick it up or not, and it'll show right there on the screen. You can also have it queue up your favorite shows on Netflix. Let's see. Google Assistant can help you connect to your favorite TV shows and films, all with voice commands. Simply say, for example, play Mowgli, Legend of the Jungle on Netflix, and as long as Netflix is set up on your Android device, you're signed into the app and you've connected it up, Google Assistant will queue up the show and film and start playing it in a matter of seconds. You can also have it check appointments and emails simply by popping it open and finding out, and you can let it entertain you. Struggling to find someone to enjoy a quick game with? Want to test your gray matter while you have a few minutes to spare? Well, Google Assistant can help with that as well. You can challenge it to a game of solitaire, or noughts and crosses, or tic-tac-toe. It can also tell you some awful jokes or puns, and even read out an inspirational quote or message if you're in need of a little motivation. You can even ask Assistant to find something funny for you to watch by checking currently trending videos on YouTube. So, there you go. Now you know. In case you didn't know, now you know. So, you're welcome. A little bit of sad news today. Granted, this happened yesterday. We're already behind by a day, but ARPANET designer Larry Robert died at 81. Lawrence G. Roberts, the man whose work would eventually allow us to send each other cat gifs, and get into arguments and trolling people in the comment section, has died of a heart attack in his California home. He was a major force and voice behind ARPANET, the direct precursor to the internet. So technically, this was the grandfather of the internet, and I believe I probably covered this in a previous episode too during a Q&A session. But yeah, he's the lead designer head behind ARPANET. And although he worked primarily as a program manager, many of the decisions he made formed the basis of the internet as we know it. Roberts made the decision, for example, to use packet switching, which breaks data down into smaller chunks for transmission across a distributed network. This is the basis upon which all network communication is built even today. From ARPANET sprung many of the concepts that still power the internet, such as electronic mail and FTP. The network even had a primitive voice protocol that was never put into use. Roberts wrote the very first email, according to an interview he gave in 1996 with Silicon Valley Radio, back when there was a question about whether electronic mail without US postage would even be legal. Turns out it was. They can't charge for that. To be kind of weird. Anyways, in the same interview, Roberts noted at the time the idea of a distributed network was one that even other computer scientists found difficult to get on board with. This is not to mention the resistance he faced from telecom companies who had a vested interest in communication staying a primarily voice-driven thing. Now you see them all jumping on 5G. Shows how quickly time and opinions change on this tech. Tech is changing at such a rapid pace. It's pretty incredible. After leaving ARPANET in 1973, the MIT grad will go on to found or co-found a series of companies built upon computer networking, including Telnet, NetExpress, and Anagram. New York Times notes that Roberts is survived by his partner and his son and 2 sisters. So, there you go. There you have it. Windows fans, rejoice! Windows 10 has finally taken over Windows 7 as the most used operating system. It's been a long time coming. Apparently, you guys are supposed to update to the latest operating system and not be stuck on this old one. Apparently, we just skipped right over 8 and 8.1 because that was just a pile of vomit, and just jumped right over to Windows 10. But it's been a long time coming. While other analyst firms such as StatCounter have shown Windows 10 overtaking Windows 7 some time ago, net market share has consistently shown the new OS to be lagging way behind the aging fan favorite, which prior to Windows 7 was XP. You remember that? Yeah. And prior to that, it was Windows 95. Or was it 2000? Or me? I don't know. In December, though, net market share finally has Windows 10 taking top position. According to its numbers, Windows 10 gained 1.08 percentage points that month to give it a 39.2% share. In the same time frame, Windows 7 lost a sizable 1.99 percentage points at the close of 2018, dropping to 36.9%. So, elsewhere, in case you wanted to know, Windows 8.1 dropped 4.14 percentage points and now has 4.45% usage share, and Windows XP, in case you're caring, still has 4.08% market share. Apparently, we're just remaining on the 4 or 5% holdout. Come on, guys, you should probably upgrade to Windows 10. Here's what I'm thinking. It's probably not personal computer use. It's probably, okay, if it is, it's probably just really old computers that are probably turned on like once or twice a year to wipe the dust off. But outside of that, it might be maybe a commercial, like a business type of computer network, and they go, oh, I can't update all that new stuff because I'm gonna have to break all this and figure this all out, and then, you know, you're sitting there going, well, it's 2019, get with the times, and they're like, well, this isn't gonna work then, and you're like, yeah, but you should probably upgrade your computer system because I don't want to sit here and wait 10 minutes for a computer to boot up. Suffering. I don't know. Corporations in some respects usually take a while to upgrade to stuff. Usually takes them like 7 years or so, but they'll get there eventually. So there you go. Some happy news for today for you guys. And in Fortnite news today, Epic Games maker wants to take on Google and Apple next. And Yeah, earlier in the year, Epic took the fight to Steam by launching its own PC storefront. Epic's plan is to undercut Steam by offering developers and publishers a larger percentage of their sales, while Valve starts off by taking 30% of each sale made on Steam. That shrinks as games sell more copies, that I've covered in a previous episode. Epic only takes 12% from each sale for itself. That, combined with the built-in reach of the Epic Game Store, thanks to launching with Fortnite, could potentially make Epic Storefront an attractive place for developers to publish their games. And I've actually been looking at the storefront, and there are a couple really interesting games that I'm looking forward to playing. If I could, I'm debating. I'm like, well, I'm just starting to get into this video game reviewing type stuff more and more. And well, Steam looks promising, but then I'm like, shoot. Well, maybe I should start looking at the Epic games, because their games, sorry Steam, look slightly better, if not massively better, than the current new games offered by you guys. Sorry Steam, but you know, it kind of had its time coming. Anyways, let's continue on with the story before I start ranting. Now that Epic has launched its challenger to Steam, it's apparently gearing up to launch a similar war on mobile. Epic is said to have plans to launch an app store all on its own, again with the main selling point being that it takes a smaller cut of each sale than Apple and Google. Unfortunately, Epic's plans are rather vague after that point. The company only tells the Wall Street Journal that it will begin selling Android apps at some point in 2019 with the same 12% fee it charges developers and publishers on its PC storefront. Apple and Google, for the record, and this I've covered before, take 30% of each sale, just as Valve does with Steam. Epic's mobile strategy pretty much starts and ends with Android, as there isn't really a way to break into the app space on iOS. Still, McGuire Capital analyst Ben Ben told Wall Street Journal that making Google change its revenue split could force Apple's hand in doing the same, so even though Epic won't have a way to sell apps directly for its iOS, its foray into the world of mobile store and apps, for that matter, may bring the change about nonetheless. So, we'll have to see how this all tunes out. But, interesting. This is great. So you have a company in a matter of a year just goes and becomes this big, huge conglomerate, goes, hey Apple, hey Google, guess what? Poke. I don't know. I'm looking forward to whatever happens in 2019, because this is every established business's fear, is of a new upstart and a rival coming in and unseating them. But it's just hilarious in the way that Epic Games is doing it. They're like, oh yeah, I'll check this out. Boop! And then Epic goes, oh, what happened? What happened? Oh, we're the largest game company in the world. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And then everybody's like, oh, I want to work with Epic Games. Forget the rest of you guys. It's hilarious. So, what do you guys think? Good, bad? Otherwise, let me know in the comments. Or leave me a post on social media if you're listening to the podcast. Oh, thank you, USA Today, for finally loading the article. Your website is lacking. Ay. I tell ya. So USA Today had to tell me I had to take off the ad blocker in order for it to work, but their website has... Okay, as nice as it looks, as functional as it looks, sometimes it's just insufferable to go through. Like, give me a paper cut of my finger. Maybe I'll just read a newspaper article of it instead of actually looking you up on the website. Anyways, rant over there. 2018 has come and gone. Where is Apple's AirPower wireless charging mat? We were promised that. You remember? In 2018? During its 2017 announcement, we were promised that the AirPower charging mat was meant to, come up, charge 3 devices at once, including a new iPhone, Apple Watch, and a pair of iPads, AirPods. In its announcement, Apple promised that the new charger would be coming in 2018. Now, while the iPhone X did, in fact, usher in a new era for iPhones, in a rare move for Apple, both AirPower and a wireless charging case for AirPods that was shown off at the same time never did materialize as promised. Not only that, but nearly all mention of the wireless charger has disappeared from Apple's site, with the exception of 2 press releases from the launch of the iPhone 8 and iPhone X. Apple has similarly largely scrubbed the wireless AirPods charger from its website, though oddly still it has a picture of it on its main AirPods page, charging on an AirPower with a note mentioning the case is currently unavailable. So, delays for Apple products aren't necessarily new. See the original AirPods launched in 2016, or the launch of the HomePod being pushed from 2017 to earlier this year. But for the company to not provide any real updates after giving a timetable is kind of odd. So, what exactly happened here? In a blog post from September, notable Apple leaker claimed that the company seems to have encountered issues with heat management, interference, and issues with charging accuracy and speed. He also continued saying that an AirPower product may not materialize before spring. Apple did not reply to a USA Today request for a comment. It's also worth noting that those looking to wirelessly charge their iPhones do have alternatives thanks to Apple's adoption of the wireless charging standard known as Qi. Mophie, Belkin, Anker, Samsung, and others all make wireless chargers that support the standard and would work with the most recent iPhones that you should be able to charge without a problem. There are even a few chargers on the market that can wirelessly charge multiple devices at once, though you may want to double check the reviews online before buying any of them. The same goes for the AirPod cases that claim to offer wireless charging support, especially on Amazon, because goodness, on Amazon you kind of have to do your due diligence on there to make sure that you aren't getting shot in the foot. So there you have it. And no, I'm not gonna let you guys watch this ad on the right hand side of the screen. No, I don't want no stinking ad. I'm going to a break. And the final news going on for today. Well, earlier this month, Soulja Boy had everybody up in arms, pranking on, all his goodies that he was coming out with. It turns out that most of all the goodies, the Soulja phone, the Soulja case, the Soulja game console. Am I kicking my foot? Yeah. Apparently, he just bought it from a Chinese manufacturer, and then upcharged it by 100%, slapped the sticker on it, slapped his name on it, and then sold it. So yeah, he kind of was a little bit vague, like really ran into the gray line when it came to a lot of this stuff, and a lot of people were on social media this entire month, on YouTube, on Twitch, were all up in arms, good, bad, or otherwise, about this Soulja Boy coming out with the game and the phone and all this stuff. And then turns out that these game consoles, once you got them, had some illegal ROMs on them. Now keep in mind that this company that was doing this and that was drop shipping was a company exclusive to China, which I guess was fine in the Chinese market. And not to mention that most of the products made, like the phone and the headphones that were sold separately, were actually fairly decent, and we're actually fairly on par with good tech going on in China currently. But when it came to the game console, it had the legal rounds of the actual games, and then it being sold back here in the States. Guess what Sony and Microsoft did? They went and they looked at it, and they're like, looks like you guys are, you got illegal console games on there. That's our license work. Now, I understand the whole Chinese market scheme of things, it's a bit vague and fuzzy line there, but by bringing it then back to the US here, now not only does it look like Soulja Boy is going to actually be in deep doo-doo about it, but it may extend to the Chinese company themselves, too. We'll see, I don't know. Soulja Boy game console saga was one of the most confusing things to watch in the gaming scene this month. The story began with the rapper selling a game console that included pirated ROMs of games. Fast forward to today, and it seems like the time of reckoning for the rapper has come, as the Soulja game consoles have been retired from the site. So, through a statement on Twitter, Soulja Boy informed his followers that he had no choice but to retire his Soulja game consoles. The gaming community didn't show a single degree of mercy, of course. Almost every response to the tweet was an insult for the rapper who tried to sell Chinese knockoff consoles, as exposed by YouTuber Rerez. According to his tweet, he said, "I had to boss up. I didn't have a choice." However, the biggest problem gamers had was how Soulja Boy thought he was invincible. The rapper often insulted his critics, saying that companies like Nintendo wouldn't sue him for his actions. He also had a habit of including insults toward the gaming community. It's all culminated in a single tweet, which he deleted since, so they put the screenshot on here. And he said, "For anyone who thinks Nintendo is going to sue me, you're retarded. Nothing going to happen. Everything is legit. My console isn't going anywhere. Trust me," smiley face. Well, the story concluded with the Soulja game consoles being retired from the store, leaving only devices like smartwatches, which are actually fairly decent. The earbuds, which are fairly decent. Tablets and phones, which are fairly decent in the Chinese market. This happened after a potential lawsuit by Nintendo reared its head. Products like the Soulja Game Fuse, Soulja Game Handheld, Soulja Game Console, and the retro Soulja Boy Mini are nowhere to be found on the site. All these consoles were preloaded with game ROMs. Some of them are made by Nintendo, SNK, Capcom, and others. They're also distributed without authorization. Soulja Boy even went as far as saying that the Soulja Game Handheld would run Switch games like Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. In the end, Soulja Boy's dreams of distributing dubiously legal consoles ended up going nowhere. Don't fret, however, he does have plans to make his own esports empire. Remains to be seen. But I do know somebody who beat him to the point. Jack Black, Jablon Sigi Games. He made his own YouTube channel. He only has 2 videos on there. He doesn't have any gaming content. It's just 2 goofy videos of himself goofing around. Also already have like a couple million, like 5 to 7 million views each. And then his channel itself has 2 million views. Apparently, I've been told he's doing new gaming videos every Friday. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, might be time to actually take a look at what the heck's going on, Soulja Boy. Just make sure when you do it, just be careful about it. That's all I'm gonna say about it. I'm not gonna say anything more. I have my own opinions about it, but for the sake of the show, just be smart about it. If it sounds a little bit too good to be true, it might be. So, with that being said, that brings us to the end of today's tech show. By the way, if we happen to miss anything on the show, be sure to let me know on social media or leave a comment down in the comment section here, wherever it is, or over on the forums, technewsgadget.net. Be sure to hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so that you can be notified of new episodes. And if you're listening to the podcast, hit that subscribe button and be sure to tell a friend. Pretty much, keep being awesome, guys, and I'll see you on the flip side.